Hey, Kristen here. I am going to go over psychology. So this PowerPoint and video is all about trading psychology, but in essence it's about mindset, and that basically encompasses not just trading, but what you're dealing with subconsciously and your mindset, day in and day out, and that really spills into your trading. So if you're stressing out at home or work or something, a tragedy of sorts may have happened, that's going to affect your mindset, that's going to affect your trading. So I'm just going to go into some of this and give you at the end some resources. And this is, I hate to say scratching the surface, but it's kind of scratching the surface. So I really want to make sure that you guys understand that this is really important to me. It's really important to any successful trader out there, and the more you understand how mindset affects your trading, the more you'll clean up your mindset and how do I say this, reset it. Some of us definitely have been brought up in situations where we need to reset. So I hope you enjoy it. I'd love some feedback, I'd love questions. I'll entertain any questions and comments. So let's jump right in.
Lesson 3, fear, greed, self-sabotage, and how do we create a trading mindset? Get this trading psychology course up and running so you can move forward and enhance your trading. So obviously, I'm going to state that trading contains risk and is not for everybody. And if you're going to trade, only risk your money that you are very comfortable with. And that way you're not jeopardizing anyone's financial security or life. Okie dokie, moving on. So what can you expect today through going through this course? I'm going to be going over exactly what is mindset and why it's important. You definitely should define fear, greed, and self-sabotage. I'm going to be reviewing some mindset teachers and some of their basic principles. And how do we apply mindset principles? And then I'm going to end with giving you guys some resources to help you further along this trading psychology journey. So mindset. Mindset is a way of thinking that can be either positive or negative. So I just threw in some examples here. Growth mindset, fear mindset, business mindset, gratitude mindset. Basically, if you could just pause for a minute and think, I wonder what kind of mindset I have. I wonder what kind of mindset some of my friends have. Because mindsets really are, well, first of all, they can evolve, they can change. You can wake up in the morning and have a gratitude mindset, and then through the workday, you can have a growth mindset, and then at the end of the day, you can have a family or relationship mindset. So first of all, defining what a mindset is and that they can evolve and change is huge. How are they formed? So this is really important because if we have mindsets that can all be different, how are they developed? How can we characterize them? So basically just right here, you can see that mindsets are formed from the thoughts and ideas that have become concepts. If you just say thoughts and ideas, you're golden right there, if you can just remember that. The mind then takes these concepts, thoughts and ideas, and then over time, they end up being beliefs. And beliefs are basically attitudes about something. So your attitude towards a relationship, your attitude towards your business, your attitude about how this day is starting. So it's from these beliefs that mindsets are formed. Because mindsets are beliefs, then mindsets can be changed. So I think a lot of people think that once you have a mindset, you can't change it. And that's not true. The skill part, the strategies and the studies and all of that basically is only about 20%. And the rest of the success in trading is 80%. That's why it's important to make sure you've got the most important thing, the 80%, going perfect. So that's kind of where it comes in, that why isn't everybody trading? And why aren't all traders successful? Because if it was simply just about that, if that 20% or even, the strategy part was maybe more, maybe if we thought the strategies was the 80%, which I really think most people learning to trade is like, it's the strategy. That's why they're wiping out accounts, because they forget to take, well, they don't forget, they just don't know or haven't learned. And maybe if they have learned, maybe they did forget that your emotions and your behaviors come off of your beliefs and your mindset. And if we're constantly making every decision off of our emotions, then if our emotions aren't in check, then we can get in trouble. So this is not an uncommon diagram of sorts, but it is a little bit of a roller coaster when you're trying to analyze, which you should be doing, your emotional state when trading. Because some of them can be extremely helpful and some of them can be horrific for you. So, starting with confident, and then things are going your way and you're starting to get excited and you're just getting this ego going, and then you have elation. And then sometimes I think what happens is you're so elated and you think you're so good that when things start going wrong, then you can be in denial. And I'll go over some of this in a minute, but the denial leads to more pain typically and more loss. And then we get into fear and panic, and then you want to throw in the towel. But if you can recognize that those things are happening to you, in you, around you, then the next biggest opportunity seriously is like right at that point, because you can go, oh my gosh, this happened. And when I did this, that happened. And I've done that 3 times. And taking those things, flipping them on their head, and then analyzing maybe the self-sabotage or belief systems that you've had, or creating these mindsets you didn't even know you were using, and then you can alter them, because remember, mindsets can be changed. So then you think, well, I can get better. Yep, change, right? And then there's hopefulness, and then you get back into the game and reassurance, and then you're trading with a whole different mindset. So this guy is pretty awesome. He's got some fun podcasts. He's got some great interviews. He's got some great books. And if you ever hear his story on how he got to where he is in his research, that in itself is mind-blowing. But I'm going to keep it simple to one of the things that he's known for talking about, but there are many, many others. He states that the programming of the subconscious mind occurs from birth through the age of 6. And I've heard people say 6, 7, 8, it's somewhere in there. And that these perceptions acquired before the age of 6 become the fundamental subconscious programs that shape the character of the individual's life. So this has to do with when your subconscious is being formed, you're absorbing those people's beliefs typically around you, and those beliefs and emotional states. So if somebody in your family that you're spending a ton of time with is emotionally unstable, you can definitely think that's the norm. And those are qualities that you can unconsciously take on, and before you know it, you have those behaviors too. So my point is that sometimes these mindsets and thought patterns and behaviors that aren't serving us, even the ones that are serving us, right? But the ones that aren't serving us, we have to address and alter. So this is interesting because controlling the subconscious is possible, but it has to be more seen as a retraining. So the mission on this trading journey is to be focused on our thoughts, on our emotions and beliefs. And this ultimately controls our decision making for trading. So we just really have to go back to that 80%, that 80-20, and to be a successful trader, we really got to get that 80% of control, and we have to make sure our thoughts, emotions, beliefs are in a positive direction, in a safe direction, and really allowing us to take the capital that we're risking and make good decisions and not have any emotions and beliefs around the market's going to go my way. You know, what are your beliefs when you're placing a trade? So Bruce, I quote here, just basically is our beliefs control our bodies, our minds, and thus our lives. And it just all ties in. And I believe that just talking about the subconscious here is a huge part and something that we just don't talk about with trading success. So let's briefly review just some basic definitions so we're all on the same page as we jump into, you know, how to identify these more and how to work on fixing them. So fear is absolutely very, very common, and in some people they don't even know how common it is and how much it just shows its face. But obviously it's defined here as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous and likely to cause them pain or threat. So when we're talking about trading, the something would be loss of money, fear of loss of money. Greed definitely can be in trading, right? We hear about it. And that obviously is defined as an intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth, power, or food. So when greed starts to take over, then other things typically start to fall apart behind it. And that's self-sabotage. You know, I think this is a term that people know of, but they don't really know what it is. We're going to spend quite a bit of time on this. But here's the definition, is that self-sabotage are most often repeated behaviors that create problems in our life and interfere with our plans and goals. You're going to see how that plays out here in a second. So Mark Douglas here wrote Trading in the Zone. I have not literally read it, but I have listened to it, the audiobook, probably 3 times. And this should absolutely be an annual book. There's a couple books that I really feel should be read or listened to, and, you know, notes taken while you're reading or listening to them annually. And this is one of them. He's known as the expert in trading psychology, and he says this about specifically fear and greed. Most investors believe they know what is going to happen next. This causes traders to put too much weight on the outcome, which is basically too much money, too much risk, while not assessing their performance as a probability game that they are playing over time. So I underline it because very important the focus be on performance, and very important that to understand and protect your capital, you have to understand and you have to learn the probability game, which is absolutely something we do teach here. He goes on to say that this manifests itself in investors getting in too high or getting in too low. So if you're getting in too low, you're thinking that the market's you're gonna short the market, you're gonna short sell, right? And so it's basically FOMO at that point. So getting in too high, getting in too low, and causing them to react emotionally with excessive fear or greed after a series of losses or wins. So that could be revenge trading when you've had a bunch of losses. And he says even here in wins, you know, I really hope that we continually talk in the live room and remind each other and check each other about emotions, getting in too high, hearing the FOMO, and not having that fear, not revenge trading. And when we're ahead and when we're winning, you know, maybe you got a goal for the day. You hit the goal and you want to keep trading because you want the screen time, but, you know, maybe go into paper and demo trading. So let's hit on this. Signs and behaviors that can be very sneaky with self-sabotaging. And we have to remember that this is the subconscious brain, so we have to see if we have some of the signs that are coming from our behaviors. So big losses. You may notice that, you may typically notice this after it's happened a few times and then you're like, oh, I'm self-sabotaging. I have to figure out what is going on in my subconscious. Maybe why am I breaking my plan? Why am I breaking my rules? Why does this keep happening? And then thinking or saying, my trading is finally coming together. You would think that when you say that, and I've been known to say that, but then when you read, and you listen to the books, and the big psychology traders are like, if you get overconfident, you're in trouble. Threshold failures are interesting, and they're totally worth acknowledging and talking about briefly, because I think they're less common, but I feel like they're more hidden. And this is when you're maybe in childhood or something, that you're not deserving of success, and that will definitely be listed under threshold failures and needs to absolutely be identified, because you'll just keep, not really picking and choosing trades off of, probability. So other examples are you feel like you need to win. Needing to win every trade is going to set you up for failure and headache and emotional stress. And then, this is always fun and hard way to learn, but the belief that you can turn a trade around that is going bad. And that is typically when you're adding contracts to losing trades, instead of just closing out the trade as a loss and waiting for the better probability trade, because you're not going to know which way the market's going. So if you also subconsciously have scarcity thinking, this is where you might be turning pretty green and getting some gains, and then all of a sudden it might be taken away. And if you get those feelings or those thoughts or something that may sound like that, like, uh-oh, who could possibly take this away from me? And then the trades are now losing trades. So that one's obviously possibly not as common, but absolutely worth saying, because you may find yourself going, oh, I didn't even know that I have scarcity thinking. And you may not even know it until you've been trading for a while. And that's why I included it. And just know that the self-sabotage absolutely can and absolutely will teach the trader. And the trader will either keep improving, stick around, or will just totally give up. So the mindset challenge. The idea of setting yourself up for success starts as soon as you wake up in the morning, and absolutely good idea to spend an entire week or an entire month watching what you're thinking about. It is, shall I say, a task. It's something different, but it's so worth it. And what's interesting is because when those negative beliefs or limiting beliefs or negative talk sneak in, Brian and I made a pact. I want to be called out if I'm having a limiting belief, or he sees a behavior, or he sees some negative talk. I absolutely want to turn it around and nip it in the bud, because I have to retrain. If that stuff's flying out of my mouth, that's totally subconscious. It needs to be retrained. And then obviously I go on to say here that ask yourself, is this emotion or these thoughts helping me with my health, my wealth, or my happiness? Because then ultimately, if your health and wealth or happiness are well, you're going to spread that to others that you love and care about in communities. And I just felt like this needed to be thrown in there, because trading when you're stressed out is ridiculous. If you really feel like you want to trade and get screen time, and you know that you just had a horrible phone call, or something's happening at the house, or something's happening at work, or your car just broke down, or whatever, don't trade. Come in the room, tell us you're stressed out. It's okay. We're humans, going to have stressful days, stressful moments, stressful times, emotions, whatever it is, it's going to happen. But, at PLT, we're just a family, and we're here to support each other. And if you want to make trading one of your passions, you have to recognize this stuff. I'm going to give a really very quick, brief story here that when I was in my early first year and a half of trading, I just always sticks in my mind, why would I trade when this was happening? Because I was using my phone and I was trading, I think Apple options. I was day trading Apple options with my phone. And I was in the middle of prepping for a hurricane that was on the way. You know, and I'm talking the sandbags and I'm talking the boards for the windows. And seriously, Kristen, no. People, that's the extreme. Just don't even do it when your stress is much less. Anyways, the trade didn't work out. So, reiterating, time to really look at yourself and look in the mirror. Becoming good at accepting a trade that didn't go the way you planned, because the market is not controllable or predictable. I kind of like italicize predictable, because if you are in our room, you are going to see that we can see pivots and points and fibs and stuff that the market does trade off of, but doesn't mean it's going to work every time. The probability mindset isn't focused on the outcome, but is focused on their performance and capital management. Huge, people, huge, 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 huge. So just know that if you're now focused on your outcome, your percentage of wins, your performance, and that you basically took your capital and managed all of the risk that might be involved, and then you go into probability trading, that mindset is so helpful. And then until you practice it, until you actually do it and see, wow, this really isn't that stressful. This really does work. I can be green week in and week out and month in and month out because of taking on this mindset. And adding to that, don't forget that to lose well and to manage losses is abso-freaking-lutely part of winning. So moving forward more with this, probability mindset pertaining to trading consists of 5 fundamental truths. So anything can and will happen. You don't need to know what's going on or going to happen next in order to make money. Doesn't that sound great? You don't have to know. And there's random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. So listening to interviews, reading these books, you're going to hear about the edge. An edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. Price level trading is trading levels. That's the edge. It's the higher probability of one thing happening over another. And then every moment in the market is completely unique. Absolutely. And I'm not quite sure, and I have a feeling that when Mark wrote this, that there wasn't a president that was tweeting. So, upgrades, here we go, jumping in. Get and stay good at accepting risk. It is part of trading, period. Treat losing money as a learning experience. Consider your tuition. It's just like going to school. Having self-control and being self-aware. I'd like to flip these because I think self-aware allows and creates the opportunity for self-control. Have consistency and patience and discipline to follow the same plan that works for you. You will hear Brian say over and over again that even if we're in a downtrend or even if we're in a big bullish trend right now as we're writing this course, but even if it's a bullish trend and we're having a down day, he will trade on bullish moves, even if he knows that he may have to scalp them because of the downtrend. And he's got that mastered. And we'll get into that in a second about, making sure that the type of trading you like to do and the plan you've created is not just protecting your capital, but it's around your personality. Everybody trades different. Be genuinely happy with your life, free of major stress. This is about trading mindsets, being happy, being grateful, attempting to trade, not with major stresses. Be calm and decisive. If you do not feel calm, you need to back up. You need to walk away. You need to go for a walk. You need to meditate. You need to go pet your dog. Whatever it's going to take, deep breathing, you name it. Have the ability to identify shifts in the market trends and a willingness to adapt to change quickly. If not, walk away. I'm not quite sure if I see people having a problem with this. Maybe it's because we talk about it so much. What's the small trend, the medium trend, the large trend? But you really have to be willing to adapt. Okay, some more upgrades. Find what works for you. Here we go. Different personalities will absolutely create different trading styles. Never ever stop learning about trading and about how to keep building strong mindsets. So that's what some of these resources will get you kicked off in the right direction. Find what works for you. Having a routine for how you will strengthen your mindset, and then working on your self-belief. So let's see. Another quote by Mark, more of an affirmation, so to speak, and something to possibly print off or write down on a 3x5 card and read often. I am a consistent winner because I objectively identify my edges. I predefine the risk of every trade. I completely accept the risk, or I am willing to let go of the trade. I act on my edges without reservation or hesitation. I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. Get paid first. I continually monitor my susceptibility for making errors. So self-analyzing, keeping notes. I understand that absolute necessity of these principles of consistent success. Therefore, I never violate them. So basically, it's kind of like saying number 7 is go back to number 1. So what I did is I thought about the things that Brian and I have spoke about over the years that we did and have added to our lives to become better traders, with the full knowledge of knowing that these things will absolutely make us better humans, because these things are extremely profound. Meditation. If you know Brian and I, we are quick thinkers. We are quick movers. When we're juggling a lot, meditating is huge. So I wrote guided in on this slide because that's the best place to start. If you are new to meditating, start with guided meditations. YouTube has a ton of them. Ton. Affirmations. I have a ton of them that pop on my cell phone every day. I have sticky notes taped to my laptop. I have index cards where I have made and put laminate sleeves around them. And do I do them all every day? Do I see them all every day? Do I read them all every day? No. But do I read them from something? Are positive affirmations being put in front of me every day? Yes. So I'm not reading them all that I've made, but I am reading them. Most of them. And now I know how important they are. So I really do make it a point to read them and feel them and be present with them while I'm reading them. Books, podcasts, YouTube, social media. The social media is kind of can be taken many ways, but my point with this was at one point I went through all my social media and I deleted people and things that were negative or created an icky feeling, so to speak, in me. And then all I did was start following and picking and making them come up to the front. All the positive stuff. There's so much amazing people you can follow that all they do is throw out positive mindset and affirmation stuff. So if you're getting on social media, then you're going to feed your brain with healthier stuff. Same thing with YouTube. What are you watching? What are you watching? I mean, I watch a ton of stuff around mindset and, not religion, but spirituality. And then how can I be a better person? And then there's so many speakers around limiting beliefs, and you've got Wayne Dyer and a lot of people like Eckhart Tolle. Find these podcasts. There's a ton of them. And obviously there's a ton of books. So I'm going to give you some names of some in the back here. Exercising your body, which is obviously walking, stretching, core, whatever you want to do, whatever your body allows you to do it. Just do it. Just find a way to crank some out. Mind. I'm going to go back to the books, podcasts, YouTube, social media. Be careful with the social media. Try to keep that down. And then the spiritual, that's up to you, but there's definitely ways to use your spiritualism to calm you and make you have a better mindset. A lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, but this you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with is a term that Jim Rohn has been saying for years. But then I came across this article by this guy, David Burkus. He's like, it's not the 5 people. They did this, I don't know, I'd have to find the article again. He's like, it's bigger than that. You're the average of everybody you surround yourself with. And when I heard the Jim Rohn one, I was like, oh dear, check. I feel like this should be something that we're doing every 3 to 6 months. Who am I spending my time with the most? Are they helping my health, wealth, or happiness? The legacy you're trying to create, the debt you're trying to get out of, the financial freedom. Where are those people? If you want to be making 6 figures a year, are those people making 6 figures a year? If you haven't heard that before, and this is the first time, you're welcome. I say it, I'm being silly, but I gotta say this was one of the biggest things for me, for sure. And I definitely try to tell everybody I come into contact that is struggling or trying to work on themselves to really focus on who they're around. And I think the family at Price Level Trading is going to be people that are really trying to make PLT that one of those 5 people, but now we know it's not one of the 5, right? It's everybody. So now being with PLT, you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people, which is just fabulous. So you may recognize some of these. Napoleon Hill has many books. I particularly like this Daily Motivation channel on YouTube. They put out some really great stuff. Mind Valley is a company that Vishen Lakhiani put together, and he gets today's world leaders in all kinds of personal growth and ton of stuff there that's free. Some stuff you pay for if you want to take in-depth courses, but I just get lost, in Mind Valley, and I do seriously love what he's doing there. And he wrote a book called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, and I really, really liked it. So I really wanted to make sure to talk about it. This guy, Joseph Rodriguez, he's got a great YouTube channel. I don't watch, what Daily Motivation channel is doing and what Joseph's doing. I listen to their channels. Joe goes back and he takes Napoleon Hill and Goddard's and all these amazing mindset teachers and books, and he summarizes them. And then sometimes he combines them and shows how they overlap. And I just can't get enough of his stuff. Very cool guy. This book, short and sweet, You're a Badass at Making Money. This is really helping people in a way of just kind of taking money and helping you see maybe your limiting beliefs and stumbling blocks, which would be more of a self-sabotaging. And then another channel on YouTube is the Be Inspired. Really like that one, so I thought I'd add that. The TED Talks, a lot of people know what TED Talks are. TED Talks can be about absolutely anything. This one in particular is done by Amy Cuddy. She wrote a great book that's out there really about self-talk, looking in the mirror. And it was really more focused on some really amazing research where they took people's blood before and after, people creating a different physical bodily posture. And that posture came with beliefs and mindsets that were kind of rolling subconsciously in people's minds, and then it actually changed the blood chemistry. So anyways, great talk if you can find anything that she's put out. And then, I'm not a psychotherapist, but hypnotherapy's been around forever, hypnosis. Michael Seeley has a YouTube channel that I will probably every night play one of his videos, and they can be anywhere from 30 minutes to hours long that he's put out. And most of mine were definitely years ago around limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging. I mean, he's got a ton of them, just like deep sleep, you name it, stress. So check him out. I wanted to make sure to add that Bruce Lipton in here. There's one of his books. And then obviously the Mark Douglas book. And then you can see here that it says he's uncovering the underlying reasons for lack of consistency, which is huge, right? Get good and then you lose it all. You like win and then you lose it all. And helps traders overcome the ingrained mental habits that cost them money. And then this one over here, The New Trading for a Living. This is actually a really good book. You can see here that it talks about market zones, higher rewards, lower the risk. And, we talked about strategies, but if you don't have good strategies either, you're going to be struggling, and that'll really play on your mindset. So I did put the picture of the new one because the other one was written before technology really took over the market, because how many people are really on the floor these days? It seems everyone is behind a computer trading. Last but not least, I tell you what, if you really put the time in, there is no way you can't succeed at this. You really just have to learn on what works and what doesn't work, and as quickly as possible, learn what doesn't work. And look at the mirror. Do the challenge. Ask us questions. Get on the phone with us. Email us. Watch the videos. Change as a person. I really know that the psychology part is huge, and I just remember hearing about it and reading about it, and then I didn't add any of these things into my life until I decided that I wanted to be a better trader, which I just, in retrospect, is crazy, right? Over 20 years as a successful chiropractor, and then teaching people about talking in my office about self-talk, but not really studying it too much. And then to turn the mirror on myself to be a better trader, that's really how this really got started.
Okay, gang, that's it. That's the psychology course. That is an introduction to trading psychology. It is literally going to set you on the path of greatness, and not just in trading, but in life. You have to withhold it. You have to practice it. You have to learn about it. You've got to instill it. You've got to do the effort. It's so worth it though, because it spills over into your personal life, into your job, into your relationships with your children, your loved ones, and definitely spills over into your trading. Emotions, past, current, anything like that definitely play a part, and sometimes they're subconscious, and I hope you really gain something from this, and I invite you to take the journey for cleaning up and reestablishing some really clear, clean, and growth mindsets. Okay, take care. On to the next course.